Chapter 1757. Zhao Ping bit her lower lip. She was wondering why her aunt would say all this out of the blue. It turned out that she was hinting at this. Although she didn't want to admit it, Zhao Ping knew that most people would choose young Master Meng over Xianhuan. Xianhuan felt uncomfortable when he heard that. He secretly hated himself for being so useless. If he could also be very rich, wouldn't he be the same as young Master Meng? At that time, her aunt would naturally like him and be willing to be with him. Xianhuan secretly swore that he would definitely be rich in the future. Got it, aunt? Zhao Ping replied. Zhao Xinhui curled her lips and continued to sit down. She crossed her legs and started to eat sunflower seeds. Zhao Ping couldn't help but ask, Aunt, how many more days are you going to stay at home? When are you leaving? Zhao Ping hoped that Zhao Xinhui would hurry back to the Meng residence. That way, Xianhuan wouldn't have the chance to interact with Zhao Xinhui. Naturally, he would be able to slowly forget about her. I don't know. In a few days. Xianhuan was a little excited. Aunt, does this mean that you will be staying at home during this period? Yes. Then can I come over to visit you in the future? If that last Ping doesn't mind, I don't mind. Zhao Xinhui said calmly. She wouldn't dare to have any objections. Xianhuan glanced at Zhao Ping. Zhao Ping naturally didn't dare to have any objections. How would she dare to interrupt Big Brother Yuan? The two of them stayed in old Zhao's courtyard for a while. Xianhuan couldn't bear to leave for a while. Zhao Ping couldn't help but urge, Big Brother Yuan, it's getting late. Shouldn't we go back? What's the rush? Let's wait a little longer. But Big Brother Yuan, how are we going to travel when it's dark? Zhao Ping could not help but grumble. She didn't ask Xianhuan to leave because it was getting late. She just didn't want Xianhuan to stay with Zhao Xinhui. The longer he stayed, the deeper Xianhuan's longing for Zhao Xinhui would grow. Xianhuan rolled her eyes at Zhao Xinhui. How can it be so dark so quickly? Woman, you just love to talk too much. If you talk too much, I'll get angry. All right then. Zhao Ping felt wronged and swallowed the words she wanted to say. On the other side, it was getting late. Just as her family was about to leave, a group of people suddenly arrived in front of Zhao Yun'er's house. There were about 20 to 30 people in this group. They were all dressed in official robes and looked very imposing. When Zhao Yun'er saw that these people had arrived, she couldn't help but frown. Did something happen again? Zhao Yun'er subconsciously felt that the people from the government had gotten into trouble. The Liang family members also gathered in the courtyard curiously, wanting to see what was going on. Why are there so many people here? Little Yun, could it be that you've caused some trouble again? Did the government come to arrest you? Liang Jinfen shouted and looked at Zhao Yun'er gloatingly. In her heart, she couldn't wait for the officials to come and catch Zhao Yun'er. Seeing that her eldest sister's family was living so well, Liang Jinfen's heart was very jealous, so she couldn't wait for Zhao Yun'er's family to be contaminated with something troublesome. Zhao Yun'er looked coldly at Liang Jinfen. What was this weirdo saying? Wasn't he clearly cursing her? Other than that, in order for Zhao Yun'er to be worthy of Mu Lianfeng's identity, the emperor had specially conferred Zhao Yun'er the title of first-rank noble madam. After the imperial edict was read, the government officials called for the other subordinates to bring the emperor's rewards in front of Zhao Yun'er. The reason why these 20 to 30 people came was because the emperor's rewards were too many. Each person had a small box in their hands and they were piled up in the courtyard. The government officials had them open the boxes and count them in front of Zhao Yun'er. These things had to be clearly explained to Zhao Yun'er. Otherwise they would have to give an explanation to the emperor if something went wrong. Chapter 1759. She saw several chests filled with ingots of gold and silver. There were also chests filled with gold and silver jewelry and jewels. At a glance, one could tell that they were of extraordinary value. My chest was filled with rare medicinal herbs and tonics, as well as cloth and satin. Looking at the dazzling array of items, it was indescribable. Zhao Yun'er narrowed her eyes as she stared at the items on the ground. The emperor was really generous to send such a large sum of wealth over at once. This wealth was probably enough for her and Mu Lianfeng to live together and eat well for the rest of their lives. When the Liang family saw this, they couldn't help but be speechless. Even these good things were bestowed by the current emperor? What they couldn't understand was that Zhao Yun'er was just an ordinary country bumpkin like them. How could she be related to the emperor? She even received these gifts from the emperor. It was really shocking and unimaginable. After the shock, a trace of greed appeared in each of their eyes. They thought that it would be great if they could share some of these good things with them. Even if they only took one of these things, it would be enough for them to live a life of luxury. After the official checked the items in front of Zhao Yun'er, he cupped his hands and said to Zhao Yun'er, "Miss, these things are all here. This is the receipt. Please check it. If there are no mistakes, we will take our leave." Zhao Yun'er said politely, "You must be tired from your journey. Why don't you come into my house to have a drink before you leave?" "Thank you for your kindness, Mississippi. But it's getting late. We have to hurry back to Yang City. Otherwise, we won't even have a place to stay at night," the leading official said. 20 to 30 people came at once. If they didn't hurry back to Yang City, they wouldn't have a place to rest. Although her house was big, it couldn't accommodate so many people at once. Besides, the banquet would be held tomorrow. She still had to continue working. When they reached Yang City, these people could find inns to rest and eat in restaurants. She didn't have to entertain them. Zhao Yun'er nodded. "All right. Since you are in a hurry to go back, I won't stay any longer. Please be careful on your way back. Thank you for your hard work." As Zhao Yun'er spoke, she grabbed a few gold ingots and stuffed them into the hands of the leading official. "You came all the way here to give me so many things. I didn't even have time to receive this money. Officials, take it and buy more food in Yang City." "Miss, you're too polite. There's no need for this money. You can keep it for yourself. We're just following orders. We can't accept this money." The official declined and didn't accept it immediately. "This is a token of my sincerity. Please don't reject it." Zhao Yun'er continued. Only then did the official accept it. He smiled and said, "All right, miss, then we'll take our leave." "All right." After these people left, Liang Jinfen walked around the treasures and couldn't help but exclaim, "I've lived for decades. This is the first time I've seen so many treasures. Big sister, your family is rich." Liang Jinxia was also stunned by the scene in front of him. For a moment he couldn't react. When he heard Liang Jinfen's words, he pursed his lips and said, "Me too. This is the first time I've seen so many treasures in decades." Chapter 1760. When she met Liang Jinfen's envious and greedy gaze, Zhao Yun'er curled her lips and said coldly, "Second aunt, didn't you say that I caused trouble and these officials came to arrest me? Naturally, because I caused trouble, His Majesty rewarded me with these things." Liang Jinfen smiled embarrassedly. She knew that Zhao Yun'er was still angry about what she said just now. "This Yun'er girl, isn't it because I haven't figured out the situation yet?" "That's right, second aunt, you're really interesting. You don't know the situation yet, you're talking nonsense. To put it bluntly, no one is as good as you when it comes to creating rumors." Zhao Yun'er suddenly sneered. Liang Jinfen was a bit embarrassed. Her face flushed red and she coughed lightly before continuing, "Yun'er girl, why do you always bicker with me? Didn't I just say it casually?" Zhao Yun'er sneered. She didn't want to bother with Liang Jinfen anymore. The other members of the Liang family were also very curious. Even Liang Jinxiao was the same. Zhao Yun'er naturally didn't have the time to explain to these people. Mother Mu Lianfeng helped move these things. "It's not safe to leave these things in the courtyard," Zhao Yun'er called out. She originally wanted to reach out and touch them, but when she heard Zhao Yun'er's words, she resentfully withdrew her hand. However, her greedy gaze fell on these treasures and she couldn't bear to take them back. It would be great if she could get one of them. Liang Jinfen was thinking about whether she should steal a bit. But in front of Zhao Yun'er, it wasn't good to do that. Seeing Zhao Yun'er call for them to move in, Liang Jinfen's eyes turned and she immediately said eagerly, "Yun'er girl, let me help you move. There are so many things. Even if there are a few more people, they won't be able to move them all in such a short time." Zhao Yun'er pursed her lips. How could she not know what Liang Jinfen was thinking? She knew very well what kind of person her second aunt was. Under normal circumstances, she would never ask for help. Since he took the initiative to bring it up, he must be thinking about something. Thus, Zhao Yun'er faintly refused, "Second aunt, your body is precious. I don't dare to trouble you. It's better to rest." Liang Jinfen's face darkened. "You silly girl, I'm helping you out of the goodness of my heart. How can you treat me like this?" Zhao Yun'er's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. "Then there's no need for second aunt to waste your kindness. I appreciate your kindness." "Aya, you little girl?" Liang Jinfen was anxious. If she was not allowed to move, then she would not have the chance to touch these things. Originally, she had planned to secretly take away one of the boxes while helping to move the things. Presumably, Zhao Yun'er would not know that there were so many boxes. Now that Zhao Yun'er did not even give her the chance to touch them, how could she steal them? "Daodu, mother is going to move the things. Help me look after them. Don't let anyone touch them, okay?" Zhao Yun'er instructed Daodu. Zhao still doesn't trust the Liang family. Who knows if these people will use some small tricks in front of her when she is not there. Daodu nodded heavily. Understood, mother. Daodu will look after them. Zhao Yuner patted Daodu's head and praised, good, then mother will go. And then, there were dozens of boxes. Zhao Yuner would rather move them slowly and tirelessly than let others touch them. Chapter 1761. To put it bluntly, Zhao Yuner just didn't trust them. However, it was normal for Zhao Yuner to have some thoughts about these precious treasures. If they had these things, they might be just like Zhao Yuner, not daring to let others touch them. After Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao carried the boxes into the house, Liang Jinfen complained to old Madame Liang with a face full of dissatisfaction. Mother, did you see that? Eldest sister actually gave birth to such a daughter. She's not sensible at all and doesn't respect her elders at all. Hearing Liang Jinfen's complaints about Zhao Yuner, old Madame Liang said somewhat helplessly, that's enough. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. Liang Jinfen's face turned slightly red. She muttered, Mother, what are you saying? What kind of thoughts do I have? Old Madame Liang said with a serious face, it would be unusual if you took the initiative to help others. I think you're just thinking about Yuner's treasures, aren't you? Although old Madame Liang had guessed it, Liang Jinfen couldn't admit it. She continued to complain to old Madame Liang, Mother, what are you saying? Why would I think about Yuner's treasures? Old Madame Liang snorted coldly, it's best that you don't. Those things belong to someone else. Don't have any thoughts that you shouldn't have. Liang Jinfen pursed her lips. Why was her mother defending that wretched girl? Old Madame Liang's lips curved into a faint smile. Although she was old, her heart was as clear as a mirror. She had a clear understanding of the people in the family. She knew their personalities better than anyone else. Liang Jinfen was her daughter, so it was even more so. Liang Jinfen bit her lower lip unwillingly. She thought about Zhao Yuner's family. Now that they had so many treasures, how rich would they be in the future? Wouldn't the gap between her and her eldest sister's family grow bigger? She thought about how poor Liang Jinxiao's family used to be, but now they suddenly became rich. Her jealousy almost made her lose her mind. If this continued, she wouldn't have the confidence to speak in front of her eldest sister in the future. Wuxialover sighed and muttered, I didn't hear wrong just now, right? Did the imperial edict say that Yuner and Er Yi were to be betrothed? Liang Jinshun replied, you didn't hear wrongly. That's what they said. That means that Yun will be the heir consort in the future? Isn't it? Consort? Not only will she be the consort, but she is also a first-rank madam. There are few madams as have a title consort, title consort. T consort in consort? She is, T have, Te'd have a, this is called flying up the branch to become a phoenix. But this kind of thing isn't something that ordinary people can be envious of. Not everyone can get this kind of glory. We should be happy that Yuner has today's success as relatives. As the saying goes, when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to heaven. Perhaps when Yuner becomes the heir consort, we will also be able to live a good life together. Wuxialover said with a smile and a look of anticipation in her eyes. Wu Zhenju snorted coldly. Sister-in-law, I think you are thinking too much. Even if Yuner really has a meteoric rise, she won't care about us and bring us any benefits. Chapter 1762. Wuxialover glanced at Liang Jinfen and secretly complained. Wasn't Liang Jinfen the same as a thief? Liang Jinfen continued, besides, eldest sister-in-law, look at how Yuner suddenly received so many good things. Why didn't she give us some? We're relatives after all. Wu Zhenju snorted, second sister, don't think about how much money this girl can give us. It's absolutely impossible. Liang Jinfen pursed his lips, I said it's impossible. If my Yuer can become the heir consort, she can lead everyone to live a good life. Wu Zhenju muttered. He was more or less jealous and envious of Zhao Yuner in his heart. Wuxialover secretly mocked Wu Zhenju in her heart. She didn't know how he had the nerve to say such things. With Liang Xinyue's looks and character, it was simply a fool's dream to dream of becoming the heir consort. Liang Xinyue couldn't even compare to her Zier. In the end, it's that girl who has no conscience and doesn't care about us relatives. Liang Jinfen scolded angrily. We're not worthy of her. Hearing the conversation between Liang Jinfen and Wu Zhenju, old Madame Liang frowned and was somewhat displeased. The two of you are nagging. Are you done yet? If you're done, then shut up. The two of them only shut up after being scolded by old Madame Liang. Liang Xinyue, who was standing next to Wu Zhenju, felt very uncomfortable. Just now, she had mocked Zhao Yun'er for not marrying Mu Lianfeng, so she didn't have a status and couldn't be seen in public. She didn't expect to be slapped in the face so quickly. The emperor's imperial edict was sent over, granting a marriage between Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng. It was such a great honor to be able to obtain the emperor's permission to marry her. Ordinary people would never be able to obtain it. All the good things in the world had been taken by Zhao Yun'er. If Zhao Yun'er was born rich, then it would be fine. However, Zhao Yun'er was not as good as her in the past. How could a country bumpkin like her become the honorable Shitzi Fei? Zhao Yun'er, Mu Lianfeng, and Liang Jinxiao made many trips before they finally moved all the jewelry back into the house. These things were piled up in Zhao Yun'er's room. Because these things were too precious, Zhao Yun'er didn't feel at ease leaving them elsewhere. She reckoned that after today, the emperor's permission to marry her, as well as the matter of the jewelry from last time, would spread throughout the village. At that time, who knew how many people would covet her treasures? Who knew if they would come to her house with evil intentions to steal them? Putting the treasures in her room, she would be able to look at them when she slept at night. She would feel more at ease. The emperor had bestowed so much jewelry all at once, so she was also under a lot of pressure. She reckoned that she would have to be on guard against those scheming people in the future. She also had to buy a few more locks. Chapter 1763. Zhao Yun'er replied unhappily, "Second aunt, can't you see that my mother and I are busy tonight? We still have to prepare for the banquet tomorrow, so how would we have time to send you off? Besides, there are so many of you. Even if I wanted to send you off, I wouldn't be able to fit all of you in my donkey cart." Liang Jinfen pursed her lips and said unwillingly, "Yun'er lass, your eldest uncle and second uncle's family have a lot of people, but my family only has 3 people. Why don't you send us back with your donkey cart? Our family can fit all of us." Compared to walking so much back home, Liang Jinfen had the nerve to make such a request to Zhao Yun'er. In any case, she was thick-skinned and wasn't afraid of being embarrassed. Zhao Yun'er rolled her eyes. What kind of people were they? Each one was weirder than the other. Xianxia said unhappily, "Second sister, what you're saying is wrong. If Yun'er is sending us off, she should be sending us off. Can't you see that mother is getting old? My family's last Zi even fell and sprained her ankle. She can't even walk. Then let's have Yun'er send us off? Actually, if we hurry, it won't delay anything." Xiaoxia's words reminded Zhao Yun'er that old Madame Liang was getting old and Liang Shizi's ankle was injured. She reckoned that she wouldn't be able to walk so far back. Liang Shizi wasn't a child anymore. She couldn't count on someone to carry her. If someone supported her, it would be very difficult to walk such a long distance. It would be best if she could send them off. Otherwise, Liang Shizi's ankle would swell even more. In any case, Liang Shizi was injured because she helped their family. If they didn't care about her, wouldn't they be too heartless? Of course, the most important reason was because of old Madame Liang. Old Madame Liang was old and her legs were already inconvenient. It was already not easy for her to walk. If she had to walk back, she would probably be exhausted. Zhao Yun'er had a good impression of old Madame Liang. She could be considered a good grandmother. After pondering for a while, Zhao Yun'er said to the Liang family, "Although my family's donkey cart is small and can't fit so many people, it's still very small. But she could let grandma and cousin Zi sit with her. She could also bring her children along. Sirs, please walk back by yourselves." After listening to Zhao Yun'er's words, the Liang family felt that it was a good idea. After walking for so long, the most tired ones were definitely old Madame Liang and the children. The other one was the injured Liang Shizi, so it was very inconvenient. If Zhao Yun'er could send these people back on the donkey cart, it would save the adults a lot of trouble. Guocaixia smiled and said, "That's good. Then I'll have to thank Yun'er. Sai, my family's Zier's feet probably won't be able to walk. If you don't send her off, I don't know how to go back." Liang Jinfen pursed his lips in jealousy. From the looks of it, he probably couldn't count on Zhao Yun'er to send them off. When he thought about the long journey back, Liang Jinfen felt very tired. Zhao Yun'er curled her lips and calmly replied, "You're welcome. Isn't there no other way? But I don't think I have the time to send them off. I'll have Lord Shitzi do it." When the Liang family heard that Zhao Yun'er wanted Mu Lianfeng to send them off, their eyes couldn't help but widen. They thought that it was Zhao Yun'er, but now she was saying that she wanted Mu Lianfeng to send them off. What kind of status did Mu Lianfeng have? He was the dignified Lord Shitzi, so how could he drive a donkey cart for common people? Chapter 1764. From old Madame Liang's point of view, if Mu Lianfeng were to send commoners back, it would be a disgraceful thing to do. Liang Jinshun followed behind old Madame Liang and agreed, That's right, Yuner girl, you can't do this. If others find out that Shiziyi is sending us back with a donkey cart, there will be rumors. You can't do that. If the matter reached the authorities, they would be charged with disrespect. Wouldn't they suffer along with them? Zhao Yuner frowned. She didn't expect the Liang family to have such a big reaction. She really didn't have the time. So what if she let Mu Lianfeng send them back? Zhao Yuner ignored the concept of hierarchy in this era. From their point of view, someone of Mu Lianfeng's status definitely wouldn't do this kind of thing. If I don't let him send us back, I won't have the time to do it either. Zhao Yuner muttered. The fish had to be processed tonight. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to handle it tomorrow. The Liang family started to feel awkward. If they didn't send them back with a donkey cart, old Madame Liang and Liang Xinzi would suffer. They didn't have the guts to let Mu Lianfeng send them back. Just as they were feeling awkward, Liang Jinxiao said, Girl, why don't you let your grandmother and Zia rest tonight? Anyway, this is our house. If we make a bed, your grandmother and Zia can sleep. Tomorrow when we eat wine, they still have to come back and forth. It's very troublesome. If they rest tonight, they won't have to make another trip tomorrow. After hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, Zhao Yuner felt that it made sense. This time she sent them back with a donkey cart. She couldn't use a donkey cart to pick them up tomorrow, right? According to old Madame Liang and Liang Xinzi's attitude, it would be troublesome if they came tomorrow. Guocaixia hurriedly agreed, Eldest sister, your idea is good. It will save you the trouble of going back and forth. Mother and Zia will also be tired. Zhao Yuner nodded, all right, since that's the case, I won't let Lord Air send you back. Grandma and cousin Zia, why don't you stay at my house tonight? I'll ask my mother to prepare a room for you later. Old Madame Liang replied with a smile, all right then, I'll only stay for one night. Sorry for disturbing you. Liang Jinxiao glared at old Madame Liang and muttered unhappily, Mother, why are you talking to me like that? You're my mother, how can I not disturb you? Granny Liang smiled kindly. It's troublesome for an old woman like me to stay in your house. It's okay, mother. My house is big and there's room for us to live in. We don't have to squeeze together. It's not a difficult task to clean up a room. I reckon it won't even take a quarter of an hour. Hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, old Madame Liang smiled. All right then. Since it's not too much trouble, your mother can rest assured. Chapter 1765. They stayed because they were lazy and didn't want to move around, not because they had no other choice. Zhao Yuner had witnessed Liang Jinfen's shamelessness time and time again. How could there be such a weirdo in this world? Of all people, he was her relative. If it weren't for Liang Jinxiao, Zhao Yuner would have slapped Liang Jinfen and taught him a lesson. Second aunt, you're really shameless. Zhao Yuner said coldly. Liang Jinfen subconsciously touched his face. Is that so? Could it be that I have gained weight recently? Zhao Yuner was moved to tears by Liang Jinfen's IQ. How could there be such a person? After rolling her eyes, Zhao Yuner said sarcastically, it seems that second aunt doesn't understand human language. I mean, where did you get the nerve to stay over at my house for a night? Liang Jinfen finally understood Zhao Yuner's words. He retorted unhappily, so what if I stayed over at your house for a night? The dozen or so rooms in your house can't accommodate so many people. Aren't you just giving us a room? It's not like it's difficult. Seeing that Liang Jinfen said it as a matter of fact, she didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, she thought that Zhao Yuner was too stingy for not letting them stay for one night. Zhao Yuner snorted coldly. There are so many rooms in my house. Do you think we have to let you sleep in all of them? What kind of logic is this? Why didn't you share some of your money with my family in the past? My mother and the others didn't have it easy back then. How can it be the same thing? Liang Jinfen muttered. How can it not be the same thing? Second aunt, if you're like grandma or cousin Zia, I don't mind if you stay over for a night. But you're doing fine. What right do you have to stay over at my house? Zhao Yuner's tone became colder as she directly expressed her attitude. Seeing this, old Madame Liang reprimanded Liang Jinfen. Finner Yuner is right. Why do you have to stay over for a night? Can't you go back? You only want to trouble others. Guocaixia chimed in. Second sister, according to what you said, we don't have to go back. Let's just stay over at eldest sister's house. It's not like what you said. Mother and Zia is to stay. Otherwise, I definitely won't let my last trouble eldest sister's family. After being ridiculed, Liang Jinfen's and Liang Jinfen's, she pursed her lips and grumbled with some dissatisfaction. All right, let's go then. I don't know what they built such a big house for. I think they're just keeping it for decoration. Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. This woman could say whatever she wanted. In any case, he would not let her stay over for a night. Seeing her made him feel vexed and unhappy. Okay, stop talking. Second sister, let's go together. Liang Jinshun called out to Liang Jinfen. He was afraid that if they stayed any longer, they would quarrel again. Liang Jinfen was a little unconvinced as she left with her family. Zhao Yun'er's eyebrows twitched as she watched them leave. She felt a sense of relief. He had finally gotten rid of this weirdo. Old Madame Liang sighed. She held Zhao Yun'er's hand and nagged, Yun-er, don't be calculative with your second aunt. She's a muddle-headed person who likes to spout nonsense. Zhao Yun-er nodded in response. I know, Grandma. Chapter 1766. I'll have to trouble you guys tonight. Old Madame Liang smiled amiably and patted Zhao Yun'er's hand. Seeing the smile on old Madame Liang's face, Zhao Yun-er suddenly thought of her own biological grandparents. They also smiled at her like this. Among these weirdos, old Madame Liang was considered a very good existence. At least she treated her junior quite well. She behaved like a grandmother should. Unlike xuanhuan, who was a weirdo even though she was a grandmother. Grandmother, you and cousin Zi-er should go inside and rest. My mother and I will prepare to cook later. Old Madame Liang laughed and replied, all right then. You guys get busy. Zi-er and I will go inside and sit. We won't trouble you. Okay. Zhao Yun-er and Liang Jinxiao continued to work. The vegetarian dishes were prepared, and Zhao Yun-er also prepared some meat dishes. In order to prevent the fish from spoiling, Zhao Yun-er specially made some ice cubes and stored the fish in a simple refrigerator she made. For dinner, Zhao Yun-er casually made some food. Many of the dishes from lunch were left over, so they could be eaten after heating them up. They could wait until tomorrow to eat a banquet and they could eat something better. After dinner, the family tidied up and prepared to rest. Next, Liang Jinxiao made a bed for old Madame Liang and Liang Xinzi. On such a hot day, there was no need to cover them with too many blankets. After a busy day, Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao were already tired and covered in sweat. On such a hot day and with so much sweat they had to take a good bath. Before Zhao Yun'er prepared to take a bath, Liang Jinxiao approached Zhao Yun'er and said to Zhao Yun'er, Azir said that she sweated a lot today and wanted to take a bath. However, she didn't bring any clothes to change into, so she asked if you could lend her a set of clothes that you don't need so that she can have clean clothes to wear after taking a bath. Zhao Yun'er nodded and said, yes, I will go and find her a set. If he didn't take a shower in this kind of weather, his clothes would probably rot tomorrow. It was indeed uncomfortable. Zhao Yun'er went to her room and looked in the wardrobe. Because he was working and these 2 days he was wearing the coarse clothes from before. It was too wasteful to wear the new clothes that were made later. If one was not careful, the clothes would be stained with the juice that could not be washed off. It would be a pity if the juice was scraped. Tomorrow he had to continue working and cook the banquet in the kitchen. If the oil in the pot spilled out, it would be very difficult to clean it. Therefore he had to keep the coarse clothes for himself to change into, so he could only lend the new clothes that he made to Liang Xinzi. Liang Xinzi didn't need to do any work, so there shouldn't be any stains on her clothes. With this thought, Zhao Yun'er took out a light blue silk dress. This dress was bought with 1 tael of silver. It was a ready-made dress. Zhao Yun'er liked the style and color of this dress. It looked very pure on her body. Although the body of the original owner had given birth to a child, she was only 19 years old. In the 21st century she would be a little girl who had just come of age. It was very suitable for her to wear this kind of pure clothes. When she changed into this dress, Mu Lianfeng was stunned by Zhao Yun'er. He said that she usually didn't dress up, but if she dressed up, she wouldn't be worse than anyone else. Holding the light blue dress, Zhao Yun'er went to the room where Liang Xinzi was resting and handed the dress to Liang Xinzi. Chapter 1767. Liang Xinzi glanced at the clothes that Zhao Yun'er had brought over and was slightly stunned. She asked Zhao Yun'er in surprise, Cousin, are you really going to lend me these clothes? Zhao Yun'er nodded and replied, yes, what's wrong? Don't tell me you don't want to? You don't like these clothes? Liang Xinzi hurriedly waved her hand and swallowed her saliva. No, it's not that I don't want to. I just think that these clothes are too beautiful. It's too good. Cousin, how can you be willing to lend them to me? Liang Xinzi saw that Zhao Yun'er was wearing rags and thought that Zhao Yun'er didn't have such beautiful clothes. Who knew that Zhao Yun'er had deliberately not worn them and was now lending them to her? The villagers usually wore coarse clothes. It was only when the little girl's family was better off that they could wear colorful clothes. However, she had never seen anyone in the village wear clothes like Zhao Yun'er's. Zhao Yuner was amused by Liang Xinzi and couldn't help but tease her. No matter what clothes they are, aren't they for people to wear? I don't have any other clothes to lend to you. It doesn't matter if you wear them once. But cousin, why don't you wear them yourself? You can just lend me the clothes you're wearing? Liang Xinzi still felt embarrassed. Zhao Yuner smiled. I still have work to do tomorrow. I have to wear these coarse clothes. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't matter if you wear better clothes. But cousin, seeing that Liang Xnz was about to say something, Zhao Er interrupted Liang Xnz's words. Okay, cousin Z, you don't have to be polite with me anymore, okay? If you don't want to wear them, then I don't have any other clothes to give you. You won't be able to take a bath tonight. Liang Xinzi could only say, all right, cousin Yuner, then I'll wear them. Yes. I'll go prepare some bath water for you. It's inconvenient for you to walk, so I'll bring it over. Zhao Yuner called out. Just as she was about to leave, she was stopped by Liang Xinzi. Cousin? Zhao Yuner turned around, raised her eyebrows and asked, is there anything else? Liang Xinzi shook her head. No, I just feel that you're really good cousin. The smile on Zhao Yuner's face deepened. This girl probably hadn't seen how ruthless she could be. However, Zhao Yuner wouldn't target someone for no reason. If others respected her, she would also respect them. However, if others offended her, she would not let them have a good time. Liang Xinzi had better hope that he would not do anything that would make her unhappy. Otherwise, when the time came, he would definitely want to take back his words. Don't be so pretentious. It's already late. We still have to wake up early tomorrow. Although you don't have to wake up early, it will probably be very noisy and you won't be able to sleep. So you should rest early tonight. Alright, got it, cousin. As Zhao Yuner spoke, she turned around and went into the kitchen. She first prepared hot water for Liang Xinzi. After waiting for Liang Xinzi to finish bathing, she also took a bath herself. She felt much more comfortable. Probably because she was too tired, Zhao Yuner immediately fell asleep as soon as she got on the bed. The next morning she woke up to Liang Jinxiao's call. The mother and daughter pair busied themselves with preparing for the banquet. When your second cousin gets married, you and your mother will definitely go over to help, right? Feng Xianxia's hint was obvious. A look of understanding flashed across Zhao Yuner's eyes. She was wondering why her eldest aunt was so kind as to come over to help. It turned out that she wanted her and her mother to help Zhao Tianhu's marriage. This calculation was really good. Feng Xianxia could gain a big advantage. Chapter 1769. Waiting for Zhao Tianhu to get married was such a big event. If their family didn't reach out to help, it would be unreasonable. Since Feng Xianxia came to help with this idea, and she would definitely help in the future, if she didn't let Feng Xianxia help now, wouldn't it be letting her off easy? So Zhao Yuner called Feng Xianxia. Eldest aunt is right, why don't eldest aunt help wash the dishes? Feng Xianxia giggled and responded by letting her wash the dishes. After that, Feng Qingxia spoke to Zhao Yuner in a negotiating tone. Yuner girl, washing dishes hurts my hands. Eldest aunt's hands have been dry and cracked recently, so I can't do this kind of work. How about I help you cut vegetables and do something else? Hearing the calculation in Feng Xianxia's tone, Zhao Yuner unhappily replied, then why don't eldest aunt not help? Feng Xianxia's heart tightened. She was afraid that Zhao Yuner would turn around and not help her family. She smiled embarrassedly, that's fine, I'll go wash the dishes, AI? Zhao Yuner withdrew the coldness in her eyes and turned to enter the kitchen. The most painful thing about holding a banquet on a hot day was that after working in the kitchen for a while, one would be drenched in sweat and feel uncomfortable all over. Their clothes would stick to their bodies, causing them to feel itchy from time to time. No matter how uncomfortable her body was, Zhao Yuner still had to endure through this banquet. When she returned home to hold another banquet, she would have to invite a chef back. At worst, she would have to spend some money, but she would be much more relaxed. Now that the emperor had rewarded her with a lot of treasures, under normal circumstances she wouldn't be able to spend them all. Since that was the case, it was better to enjoy more. After all, money couldn't be brought with you when you were born, and neither could you take it with you when you die. There was no meaning in saving it in her hands. At around 10 o'clock, many guests had already arrived. Everyone in the village gathered together and chatted with each other. Many people scurried around Zhao Yuner's house and looked at the imposing house of Zhao Yuner's family. The people from the Liang clan also came over, but none of them had the intention to help. Zhao Yuner did not count on these people at all. Each and every one of them was too lazy to die. How could she think of how these people could help her? Mother, how was your rest at eldest sister's place last night? Liang Jinshan went up to old Madame Liang and asked with concern. Old Madame Liang smiled. It's very good. This brick house is much more comfortable than our thatched house. At night, Yuner helped to smoke something. Even the mosquitoes are gone. I slept directly until dawn. It's not like at home where I have to be woken up in the middle of the night. After hearing old Madame Liang's words, Liang Jinshan pursed his lips and said, Mother, that's for sure. How can our thatched house compare to eldest sister's brick house? Wu Zhenju said with a jealous tone, Mother, since you say that eldest sister's house is so good, why don't you stay at eldest sister's house in the future? It's much more comfortable than our house and you won't have to go back home and torment yourself. Liang Jinhui glared at Wu Zhenju. What are you saying, woman? Eldest brother and I are both here. Mother, how can it be her turn to stay at eldest sister's house? In ancient times, a married daughter was like spilled water. Generally, parents had sons to take care of them in old age. If a son was here, but the daughter had to take care of them in old age, the son would be criticized behind his back in ancient times. Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui were both grown men. They usually had a lot of faith, so how could they allow others to say that they were not filial? Chapter 1770. Feng Xianxia also chimed in from behind. Second sister-in-law's words aren't unreasonable. Our mother doesn't sleep well at home. There are a lot of mosquitoes in the summer, so she can't sleep well at night. Mother's body isn't as good as before. If she can stay at eldest sister's house for a while, her body will definitely slowly recover. Old Madame Liang wasn't feeling well these days, so all the work had to be handed over to her two daughters-in-law. From time to time, her daughters-in-law had to take care of her. After Feng Xianxia and Wu Zhenju took care of her for a period of time, they more or less felt a little annoyed in their hearts. Not to mention other things, old Madame Liang still needed their help to bathe every night. In addition, they had to take care of her feces and urine every day, which was very disgusting. If old Madame Liang lived at Liang Jinxiao's house, these chores would naturally be handed over to Liang Jinxiao. The two sisters-in-law wouldn't have to do these chores. Wu Zhenju muttered, That's right. Now that eldest sister's family is living such a good life, the family is so rich and they don't care. They have one more mouth to feed. Eldest sister is also mother's daughter. Mother's body isn't good, so what's wrong with eldest sister being filial? Do you have to see mother suffer with us before you feel happy? After listening to Guocaixia and Wu Zhenju's words, Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui both felt that it was somewhat reasonable. Their mother would definitely live more comfortably with Liang Jinxiao than at home. Not to mention food and drink, of course sleeping at night was also much better. Mother, why don't we discuss it with eldest sister and let you stay here for a while? When the weather is cooler, our house isn't so hot and there aren't so many mosquitoes, then we'll take you back. Liang Jinshan said to old Madame Liang in a negotiating tone. Old Madame Liang frowned. How can we do that? We'll trouble your eldest sister's family. I've never seen an old woman in our village go to live with her daughter for a period of time. It's fine if it's only 2 or 3 days, but it's not good if it's too long. Guocaixia persuaded, Mother, the situation is different. The people in our village is very poor. They'll feel distressed if they have one more mouth to feed, but eldest sister's family is different. Big sister's family has so much money now, it doesn't matter if you join in. That's right, Mother. This also depends on the situation. I see that eldest sister is filial. If we talk to her, she will definitely agree. If she doesn't agree, then forget it. We should at least try to ask, right? What if big sister E is willing to let you stay? Wu Zhenju spared no effort in persuading him. She thought that if old Madame Liang didn't come home, she could save a lot of trouble every day. Old Madame Liang had lived for so many years. The salt she had eaten was more than the grain her two daughters-in-law had eaten. How could she not understand? Old Madame Liang felt a little stifled when she thought about it. She had lived for so long, but now that she was old and uncomfortable, she was despised by her daughter-in-law. After all, a daughter was not like her biological daughter. Her biological daughter would naturally not treat her like this. The more old Madame Liang thought about it, the more upset she felt. If the two daughters-in-law really didn't like her, then she could only trouble her daughter. After a period of time, when the weather was not so hot and her body recovered, she would naturally not have to trouble her two daughters-in-law. At that time she could go back and avoid being despised. She was just a little embarrassed to trouble her daughter's family. Fortunately, she saw the attitude of Liang Jinxiao's family last night. They were all easy to get along with and did not despise her at all. Old Madame Liang finally relaxed and said, All right then, I'll discuss it with Xiaoer later. But if she doesn't agree, I can't be thick-skinned and refuse. Liang Xinyue was slightly stunned. How can she have such beautiful clothes? And he was willing to lend it to you? Then why doesn't she wear it herself? Liang Xinzi said coldly, now that eldest aunt's family is so rich, isn't it normal for cousin Yunair to have these nice clothes? She has to work, so she wears coarse clothes. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a pity to wear this kind of clothes and get dirty? Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip. Although she understood this reasoning when she thought of Zhao Yun'er's nice clothes, Liang Xinyue's jealousy grew stronger. Chapter 1772. Liang Xinji was angered by Liang Xinyue. This woman was deliberately finding fault with her and picking on her. Her words were really unpleasant. You're the one who's shameless. You're just jealous that my cousin is good to me and lent me the clothes. Liang Xinji retorted angrily. Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip and said sarcastically to Liang Xinji, Humph, no matter how beautiful the clothes are, they'll be ruined on you. You're so ugly, it's useless no matter how you dress up. You're too much. Liang Xinji glared at Liang Xinyue angrily. This woman only knew how to use her appearance to criticize her. Although she wasn't as beautiful as Liang Xinyue, she wasn't considered ugly, right? Now that she was dressed up like this, she felt pretty good. Guocaixia couldn't bear to see her daughter being bullied, so she reprimanded Wu Jinju, second sister-in-law, look at what kind of daughter you've raised. How could she say such things about my Zier? Wu Jinju was also protective of his own. My Yuer girl didn't say anything wrong. Zier's appearance isn't as good as my Yuer's. Even so, you can't scold her like this. My girl, even if she's not as good-looking, shouldn't she be dressed in beautiful clothes? How can you say that she's ruined? Wu Jinju's mouth twitched a few times and he said lightly, isn't this a child's play? It's no big deal to bicker. Sister-in-law, why are you fussing over this? Guocaixia rolled her eyes. Second sister-in-law, it's easy for you to say. How is this bickering? Yuer girl is clearly. Before Guocaixia could finish, old Madame Liang immediately interrupted. All right, all you know is when you'll stop quarreling. It's one thing to quarrel at home, but this is your sister's house. Aren't you afraid that others will laugh at you if they hear you? Old Madame Liang felt a wave of annoyance in her heart. She was old and liked peace and quiet. Every day at home, she had to listen to her two daughters-in-law quarreling. It was so noisy that her head hurt. Staying at her daughter's house last night was indeed much quieter. If she could stay there for a period of time, she could also take a breather and not have to listen to her two daughters-in-law's quarrel. Guocaixia and Wu Jinju both shut their mouths angrily. In the kitchen, Zhao Yun'er was very busy. At this time, Zhao Wenhua, Zhao Qianhu, and Zhao Tianan himself had already arrived at the village and borrowed the tables and chairs. When it was close to 11 o'clock in the afternoon, almost everyone had arrived. Zhao Yun'er began to prepare for the banquet. Everyone sat down. There were 8 people in each seat. Excluding the children, there were exactly 2 people on each side. Several men from old Zhao's house came over to drink wine. Before the banquet started, Xuanhuan went to Zhao Yun'er's kitchen and said to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, when you're cooking later, leave a few good dishes for me. I'll bring them back for your aunt to eat later. Before Zhao Yun'er could refuse, Xuanhuan hurriedly explained, Yun'er, don't worry. Your aunt just doesn't like the food I cook and wants to eat yours. We won't take your food for free. We'll pay for it. Here's 1 tael of silver. Take it. It should be enough to buy your food, right? Zhao Yun'er glanced at Xuanhuan. Now she knew how to be tactful and didn't want to take it for free. Okay, I'll leave some good dishes. Zhao Yun'er said as she took the silver from Xuanhuan's hand. Unimportant people can sit, but our family came all the way here. How can we not have a seat? Zhao Ping'er grumbled unhappily. But you didn't say that your family would come. We didn't arrange a seat for you. Zhao Wenhua frowned and explained. Zhao Ping'er was much more stubborn. She said to Zhao Wenhua, Father, I don't care. You have to arrange a seat for us. Zhao Wenhua looked troubled. Wait a moment. Father will think of a way. Chapter 1774. Zhao Wenhua wandered around and looked around, but he still could not find an empty seat. There were more people than he expected. Some of them came on the same day and brought money as gifts. How could he not let them sit down and eat? Many of the tables had 2 extra people. Now that Zhao Ping'er and her family were seated, it was indeed too crowded. After wandering around and finding that there were no extra seats, Zhao Wenhua went to Zhao Ping'er and discussed with Zhao Ping'er. Ping'er, there really aren't enough seats. Why don't you bring your in-laws and sit with your uncle? Zhao Ping'er glanced at where the Liang family was sitting. They had already prepared so much. How could the 5 of them sit down? How could they squeeze more than 10 people into a table? Father, are you joking? How can we fit so many people? Then what should we do? We don't have that many tables at home. Also, we only prepared these tables for the banquet. We can't do anything about it if we don't squeeze, Xuanhuan said helplessly. However, Zhao Pinger did not give up. Father, are you doing this on purpose? Why is it that everyone else has a seat, but our family doesn't have a seat? Zhao Wenhua was helpless against Zhao Pinger. He was already busy today and was a little flustered. Before he could sort out his thoughts, Zhao Pinger came to him and made a fuss. Zhao Wenhua sighed and continued to explain. Pinger, didn't they come first and you came later? They already found a seat and sat down. I can't possibly chase them away now, right? They might say that our family's host was not polite and the villagers might criticize us. It was not that Zhao Pinger did not understand, but Zhao Pinger was unwilling to compromise. Father, what do you think we should do now? Don't tell me we can't sit down and eat? If you don't serve them well, my mother-in-law's family will definitely make trouble for me. Father, do you want to see me suffer? After hearing Zhao Pinger's words, Zhao Wenhua pondered for a moment. It was useless for him to discuss it with Zhao Pinger now. He had to discuss it with the family Qin first. However, looking at the Qin family members, it was clear that they were unwilling to compromise. Father, go and discuss it with Yuner. See if we can put together another table for the banquet. We can arrange for you to sit at a new table. That should work, right? Only then did Zhao Pinger respond, Father, then you should go quickly. Okay. Zhao Wenhua as he spoke and walked towards the kitchen. Zhao Yunlong called out to Zhao Yuner. Father, what's the matter? Zhao Wenhua rubbed his hands together and explained the situation to Zhao Yuner somewhat embarrassedly. Yuner, the seating arrangement outside is indeed a little tight. Why don't we add another table for the banquet? We can't treat Pinger's in-laws too well. They might complain later. Zhao Yuner frowned when she saw Zhao Wenhua's honest look. Zhao Pinger, that B*TC, actually had the nerve to bring her whole family over. It was already polite of her to let him and Qin Yuan come over for the banquet. He did not expect this family to be so thick-skinned. Chapter 1775. This. Zhao Wenhua frowned. If he were to tell Zhao Pinger that, who knew how Zhao Pinger would kick up a fuss later? If he had known that so many people would come, he would have prepared an extra table in advance. When he made the arrangements, he didn't think too much about it. He was afraid that if he arranged an extra table, there wouldn't be so many people coming, and the dishes on the table would go to waste. After all, it was very hot in this season, and fresh dishes couldn't be preserved for that long. What's wrong, Father? Zhao Yuner asked when she saw Zhao Wenhua's troubled expression. Zhao Wenhua sighed and said, I'm afraid that Pinger will kick up a fuss again. I'll tell her slowly later. That girl's temper is very stubborn. Zhao Yuner felt stifled in her heart. She really had to hand it to that B*TC Zhao Pinger. With Zhao Wenhua's personality, Zhao Pinger was only domineering in front of her parents, but she was as attentive as a dog when it came to family Qin people. If she let Zhao Wenhua go out, Zhao Pinger might make things difficult for him again. Zhao Yuner took a deep breath and said to Zhao Wenhua, Father, let me go out and talk. Zhao Pinger couldn't act rashly in front of her. She wasn't as easy to negotiate with as Zhao Wenhua. Zhao Wenhua nodded. It was naturally better for Zhao Yuner to talk. Yuner was quick-witted. If she talked to Zhao Pinger, she might listen. Zhao Yuner put down the spatula and walked out of the courtyard. Zhao Pinger was originally hoping that Zhao Wenhua would come out. However, when she saw Zhao Yuner come out with a cold face, Zhao Pinger's heart suddenly tightened and she was a little scared. Where's Father? Zhao Pinger asked weakly. Zhao Yuner sneered, Why are you looking for Father? I asked my father to arrange a seat for me. Zhao Pinger blurted out guiltily. There's only enough space for 2 people. You brought a whole family here at once, so there's no way for all of you to sit down. Zhao Yuner replied snappily. Zhao Pinger blushed and said unhappily, Then what should we do? Since we're already here, you can't just let us go, right? That's your business. Who would bring so many people to a banquet? We're already being polite by preparing 2 seats for you. Sit if you want. But Dad said that he would open another table for me. Zhao Pinger was a little unwilling and bit her lower lip. You also said that it was Dad who said that. I didn't agree to this. There are only so many ingredients at home. How can he open another table just because he said so? Zhao Yuner's attitude became even colder. Seeing that Zhao Yuner had no room for discussion, Zhao Pinger could only hope that Zhao Wenhua would hurry out. Unfortunately, Zhao Wenhua was hiding in the kitchen and had no intention of coming out. Zhao Ping instantly became anxious. The Qin couple seemed to have realized that something was wrong with Zhao Ping situation and walked over. They said to Zhao Ping in a somewhat dissatisfied tone, Ping why can't we sit down yet? The guests are already done. We've been doing this for a long time. Your father and I are both old and our legs aren't nimble. How can we stand for so long? Sigh, my feet are already hurting from all this talking. Hearing Mu Chuanfang's complaints, Zhao Ping pursed her lips and said, Mom, you guys can stand and rest for a while. You'll be able to sit down in a while. I'm discussing with little sister Yun. Mu Chunfang glanced at Zhao Yun'er and muttered, Girl, where are your parents? Why aren't they entertaining me? We're in-laws. How can they let their in-laws stand? Chapter 1776. That in-laws family had the nerve to come over with their whole family. To put it bluntly, it was because they saw that their family was rich and wanted to take advantage of them. Previously they had treated them well because they wanted Zhao Ping to get married. Now that Zhao Ping this weirdo was finally kicked out, they did not have to be as polite to the family Qin people as before. Auntie's words are really interesting. Didn't you see that my parents are busy with the banquet? How would they have time to entertain you? Mu Chuanfang's face instantly turned red. No matter how busy they are, they can't not even come out to greet us. And they even made us stand here for so long. It's not polite. Auntie's whole family came over for a meal. Is it polite? Who would bring their whole family to a banquet? And they didn't even greet us. How could we arrange so many seats? The seats are already full. At most we can squeeze in 2 people. Why don't you all go back? Otherwise there won't be any seats. You can just stand here and eat. Zhao Yun'er said bluntly. There was no need to be polite to these weirdos. It was fine to offend the family Qin people. It was better not to have any dealings with these weirdos in the future. They would only be at a disadvantage if they did. How can this be? Even if we're not relatives, we're still in-laws. We came all the way here, so how can we go back now? It's not polite to stand and eat. Mu Chunfang complained, expressing her dissatisfaction. Qin Dahai, who was standing at the side, also spoke up, Little girl, aren't we at the Qin family's place? That's why we didn't treat you as an outsider and came over with our whole family. Now that you're asking us to leave, does that mean you don't want to see us anymore? Our families won't interact with each other in the future? Zhao Yun'er could tell that these people were deliberately making things difficult for them. She chuckled and said, Yes, there's no need to interact with each other in the first place. Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai were slightly stunned. Ew. What do you mean? Your parents didn't even say that. How can you say that? Zhao Ping was also angry. Zhao Yun'er, are you trying to sow discord between my parents and me? Mu Chunfang sneered and said sarcastically, I don't think she's trying to sow discord. She's just looking down on us poor relatives. Hee, now that our family is rich and has built such a nice house, we don't need to interact with each other. Qin Dahai too. Zhao Yun'er rolled her eyes. These people really have a lot of ideas. However, it was none of her business what they thought. What right do you have for our family to look down on you? To put it bluntly, my parents don't even want to bother with Zhao Ping. They're already being very polite by letting her come today. If you want to cause trouble, I don't mind serving you with my fists. Zhao Yun'er said coldly with a hint of impatience and viciousness in her eyes. Someone saw the situation and hurriedly advised the Qin couple, Hey, don't offend Yun'er. To put it bluntly, if you make her unhappy, Lord Heir has ways to deal with you. Do you still dare to provoke Lord Heir's people? Chapter 1777. If Mu Lianfeng were to get angry and find a reason to cause trouble for them, it would be a piece of cake. It was not worth it to suffer in the future just to argue with Zhao Yun'er. Qin Dahai tugged at the corner of Mu Chuanfang's clothes and whispered into Mu Chuanfang's ear, Yuaner's mother, I think we should just forget about it. Let's not talk about it anymore lest we really get into trouble. Mu Chunfang pursed his lips and could only reply, Okay. Seeing the Qin couple's arrogance instantly diminish, Zhao Yun'er's lips curled up. It seemed like Mu Lianfeng's identity was useful to her. It could be used to scare people on a daily basis. Zhao Ping bit her lower lip and glared at Zhao Yun'er. Although she wanted to flare up, she did not dare to casually make a scene. Not to mention that Zhao Yun'er would personally make a move on her. Even if Little Black were to come out and bite her, wouldn't that make her cry to the heavens and the earth? Ping, our little girl, your parents and I are already so old. We can't stand. Since there are only 2 seats available, then your father and I will sit. You Yuaner and Xuanhuan can stand at the side and eat. Mu Chunfang said to Zhao Ping. His tone did not have any intention of discussion as he directly ordered Zhao Ping'er. Although Zhao Ping'er was unwilling to stand while eating, she had no choice. She could not possibly let Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai stand, right? Zhao Yun'er's understanding of family Qin people deepened. She had already humiliated them like this. Could it be that these people could not be more unyielding and just leave? However, they still chose to stay and drink. In the end, it was because of their nature to take advantage of others that they could not bear to miss out on a banquet. Zhao Yun'er felt that such people were hateful and helpless. Right now, she did not have the energy to torment these people. As long as they did not cause trouble, everything would be fine. The Qin couple went to the Liang family's table and sat down. The children weren't at the table but the adults. Even girls like Liang Xinyue and Su Lady could only make do with some food. Even so, the table was still very crowded. When the people of the Liang family saw the Qin couple coming over, a trace of disdain appeared in their eyes. In their impression, they still thought that the Qin family was poor. Sigh, anyone can sit at the table. Seriously. What can we do? Eldest sister and brother-in-law are both good-tempered people. Their eyes are mine. I won't let this kind of people come over. He's just a beggar. It's really bad luck to have such a relative. The family Qin people's attitude made the Qin couple lose face, but they couldn't make a fuss with these people, so they could only endure it. After all, their family Qin was still very poor compared to other people. If they quarreled now, their family would be kicked out by Zhao Yun'er's family. In the afternoon, they couldn't even eat lunch. Their stomachs were really hungry. They had to eat a banquet. In any case, they had to eat a good meal. Otherwise, wouldn't they have made a wasted trip? Seeing that almost everyone had arrived, Zhao Yun'er prepared to serve the banquet. The dishes had already been cut and mixed, so it was very fast. In a short while, the dishes were brought to the table, and the people in the large courtyard began to eat happily. Zhao Yun'er's culinary skills naturally didn't need to be said. Everyone ate abnormally happily. Those who were not at the table ate the unfinished dishes in the kitchen. Chapter 1778. After busying herself for several hours, the banquet was finally over. After the banquet, the guests left in twos and threes, leaving only a few large tables with bowls and chopsticks. Upon seeing this, Zhao Yun'er knew that there was going to be a lot of work to do. Her head hurt a little. Compared to cooking, Zhao Yun'er hated dealing with these things after the banquet more. Many of the villagers had poor manners and made a mess of the table. Many of them chewed their food and spat it out on the table without swallowing it. As for the men, many of them drank. Some of them vomited and had diarrhea when they were drunk, making a mess of the tables, chairs, and the floor. Originally, she didn't feel tired after the banquet, but after seeing these things, Zhao Yun'er instinctively wanted to escape, but she was too embarrassed to just leave these chores to others. After the banquet, she wasn't the only one who was tired. The others also had a lot of work to do. Yun'er, go and rest. Mother will do the rest. Liang Jinxiao wiped the beads of sweat on her forehead and said to Zhao Yun'er with a smile. Zhao Yun'er saw that Liang Jinxiao was also exhausted. She smiled and said, Mother, let's all rest for a while and work together later. Alright, we didn't have time to eat just now. Let's eat together now. Liang Jinxiao responded, Okay, let's eat first. Your eldest aunt and second aunt haven't eaten yet. There's also Mulan and Mu Hin. Then let's eat together. Zhao Yun'er called out and moved a clean small table out of the house. A few people who were originally busy gathered at the table and began to eat. The dishes were all leftovers from the banquet, and many of them were meat dishes. Feng Xianxia happily came forward. Originally, she thought that eating at the table was good, but now she felt that eating after the banquet was good too. She didn't have to fight with others at the table. There was only one plate of good dishes. She took a look just now and saw that many of the women at the table were fighting over a plate of good food. They even cursed at each other. If she was at the table, she would definitely be the same. Now they didn't even have to fight for food. They could just pick the best ones. While eating, Feng Xianxia discussed with Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er, there's so much leftover food in your house. It'll be a waste if we can't finish it. Can I bring some for your cousin-in-law later? Zhao Yun'er was speechless when she saw the greed in Feng Xianxia's eyes. The whole family had come over to eat and they were still thinking of bringing some back. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er didn't say anything, Feng Xianxia explained angrily, Hey, I came here to help you. Pan doesn't know how to cook. I'm afraid it's too late to cook now. She must be starving. Okay, sister-in-law, you can bring some to Pan later. There are still a lot of good dishes in the kitchen. Liang Jinxiao said to Feng Xianxia. Feng Xianxia responded happily as if she had picked up a big bargain. Zhao Yuner didn't say anything. She was so tired that she didn't even have the energy to argue. Li Chuanying, on the other hand, was much more low-key. He buried himself in eating and didn't say anything about bringing some for the children at home. If it was before, with Li Chuanying's temper, he would definitely find her and ask her to bring some back. Chapter 1779. Li Chuanying was a little embarrassed. How can I bring it back? You can keep it for a few days at home. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You don't have to cook for Qianyu and Jing'er when you go back. Feng Xianxia hurriedly agreed. Second sister-in-law, since Yuner has said so, why are you still refusing? Only then did Li Chuanying respond, then I'll put some on later. Okay. They finished their meal quickly. Zhao Yuner touched her stomach. She didn't know if it was because she was full, but she still felt a little sleepy. After Feng Xianxia finished eating, she ran to the kitchen happily. She hurriedly picked up the dishes she had picked up and piled them in a bowl. Li Chuanying didn't move. Zhao Yuner looked at Li Chuanying in confusion. Second aunt, why don't you do it? There's no hurry. Let eldest sister-in-law finish picking first. You can just pack whatever you like. Later, I'll ask eldest sister-in-law to bring it back for me, Li Chuanying said with a smile. Zhao Yuner was even more confused. Second aunt, aren't you going back? The table at home hasn't been cleaned yet. How can you and mother be busy? That's why I'll stay and help you out. Hearing Li Chuanying's words, Zhao Yuner was slightly touched. So many people didn't want to help. It was not easy for Li Chuanying to think of this. It's okay, second aunt. You've been busy the whole day. It's not right to make you busy again. Zhao Yuner declined. How can you be so polite with me? It's okay. I have nothing to do at home anyway. I've eaten and brought food to your house. If I don't help you out, I'll feel bad, Li Chuanying insisted. Zhao Yuner saw Li Chuanying's sincere face. She didn't mean to help. If she refused, it would seem that she made the relationship between them too estranged. Zhao Yuner thought for a moment and agreed. Okay, then I'll have to trouble you again later, Li Chuanying said with a smile. You silly girl, why are you so polite? I'm not helping you for nothing this time. I'm eating and taking food. I'll feel bad if I don't do anything. Li Chuanying's words were honest. Normal people would feel the same way. If it was Zhao Yuner, she would also try her best to help others do more work. However, when Feng Xianxia heard Li Chuanying's words, she felt that she was embarrassed. Didn't she eat and take food too? Moreover, she was counting on Zhao Yuner to help her family hold banquets in the future. If she stayed and continued to help Zhao Yuner, she should be better than Li Chuanying. But when she glanced at the leftover bowls and chopsticks on the table, Feng Xianxia immediately deflated. Cleaning up these things was more tiring than the work she had done earlier. The table was covered in greasy and dirty things. They might even stain her clothes. She really didn't want to do this work anymore. Feng Xianxia smiled embarrassedly and said to Zhao Yuner hypocritically, Hey Yuner, if I have time, I'd like to continue helping you out and finish the rest of the work. But I'm in a hurry to go back and bring food to area. My eldest grandson can't live without me. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to take care of him alone. I have to go back and help Pan, or take a breather. When old Madame Liang heard Zhao Yuner's words, she waved her hand at Liang Jinyu. Yuner girl is right. You don't have to toss around anymore. Rest in front of mother and accompany mother to talk a few more words. I left in such a hurry yesterday that I didn't have time to say anything. Liang Jinyu thought for a moment, nodded, and walked towards old Madame Liang. Old Madame Liang saw that her two daughters-in-law as well as Liang Jinfen were not eating. Although there were many tables that needed to be cleaned, they were sitting together with their legs crossed and drinking tea leisurely. Chapter 1781. That's right. You should eat some vegetables occasionally. It's not good for your intestines to eat too much greasy food. However, Yuner's cooking is really good. It's really delicious. Eldest younger sister is really blessed. Blue sky, she can eat Yuner's cooking every day. This kind of blessing isn't something that everyone can enjoy. There aren't many people like eldest younger sister's family. Not to mention anything else, just how many people can meet a man like Shi Ziyi? It's simply like smoke rising from our ancestors' graves. Didn't eldest younger sister's family say that after they built a grave for their ancestors, their family's luck gradually improved? It's only because of the old ancestors' blessing. So it's like that. I knew it. How could there be such good luck? Why didn't this good thing fall on other people's heads? It just had to fall on eldest younger sister's head. So it's because of the old ancestors' blessing. That makes sense. As the few of them discussed, they turned to old Madame Liang and started discussing with her. Mother, since eldest younger sister's family built a grave and their luck improved a lot, should our family also build a grave? Father's grave has been there for many years and we haven't renovated it. Liang Jinhui said. Wu Zhenju followed behind and said, even I think that Yuer's father's words make sense. If father can bless us, perhaps our Yuer can be like Yun and find Shi Ziyi. He's such a rich man with status. After Wu Zhenju finished speaking, he began to look forward to it. If her family could be like Zhao Yun'er's, wouldn't she be able to eat and drink well in the future? After hearing Wu Zhenju's words, Xianxia rolled her eyes in her heart. Her second sister-in-law only knew how to have wishful thinking. Did she really think that she could find a good husband like Liang Xinyue and Zhao Yun'er? Such good luck was probably 1 in a million. Old Madame Liang snorted and said without giving any face, you were unfilial when you were alive and now you're dead. Do you think that building a grave will bless you? It's better to work hard and earn more money. It's more practical. The corner of Liang Jinhui's mouth twitched when he heard old Madame Liang's retort. Although he knew that old Madame Liang was telling the truth, he still replied unwillingly, Mother, we are father's children. How can we not bless our own children? What's the use of working hard these days? You can only earn as much as you need to. His eldest sister's family used to be very diligent, but they were very poor. I was just waiting for your luck to improve. That's how I earned quite a bit of money. Take a look at Xiaomei, who else works harder than her, but she is the one who lives the poorest. Liang Jinyu lowered her head in embarrassment after being pointed out. Her siblings liked to complain about her family's poverty, but she couldn't do anything about it. Whether they were rich or poor was not something she could decide. She naturally hoped that her family could live a better life and let her children live a better life. Seeing the disappointment in Liang Jinyu's eyes, old Madame Liang said to Liang Jinhui in annoyance, all right. You only know how to talk nonsense. You people are always thinking about nonsense. Is living a hard life now, but she's willing to work hard. Who knows, she might live better than you in the future. Life is full of ups and downs. Who can say for sure what will happen? Liang Jinhui finally shut his mouth resentfully. As a family we should help each other. How can we be so distant? I'll go help eldest sister's family now. Wu Zhenju's sudden change in attitude made old Madame Liang somewhat puzzled. What medicine did her second daughter-in-law sell in her throat? Did she really become diligent? What did Liang Xinyue say to Wu Zhenju's ear just now? Chapter 1783. When Wu Zhenju saw old Madame Liang and Xianxia's reactions, he twitched the corners of his mouth and felt a little guilty. He was afraid that old Madame Liang and Xianxia would see through him, so he quickly turned around and ran in the direction of Liang Jinxiao. When he ran in front of Liang Jinxiao, he politely said to Liang Jinxiao, eldest sister, I have nothing to do here, so I'll help you clean up. Liang Jinxiao was stunned and looked at Wu Zhenju suspiciously. If these words came from someone else's mouth, she would feel that it was normal. However, when it came from Wu Zhenju's mouth, she felt that something was wrong. Her second sister-in-law had never been so enthusiastic. Today was the first time. What's wrong, eldest sister? Wu Zhenju blinked and asked Liang Jinxiao. Liang Jinxiao came back to her senses and quickly waved her hand. She said to Wu Zhenju, no need, second sister-in-law. You go and rest. I can handle it. It's so dirty and tiring. How can I let you dry it with your hands? What if your clothes get dirty? Wu Zhenju gave a fake smile and grabbed the wooden basin from Liang Jinxiao's hand. He minded his own business and cleaned it up. Oh, eldest sister, what's our relationship? Why are you being so polite with me? Yang Jinxiao saw this and knew that she couldn't refuse Wu Zhenju's help. She thought about it and sighed. Since Wu Zhenju really wanted to help, then let him be. If she refused too much, it would make the relationship between the two families seem too distant. Zhao Yun'er noticed the movement on Wu Zhenju's side and was also puzzled. Her second aunt was probably scheming something in her heart. However, she would deal with whatever came her way. This Wu Zhenju better hope that he didn't have any bad intentions. Otherwise, with her around, he wouldn't be able to get any benefits. After all, Zhao Yun'er wasn't easy to deal with. It took a long time for the family to clean up the table. Zhao Yun'er didn't throw away the leftovers. Instead, she collected them and gave them to the chickens at home. She didn't have to feed the chickens. Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Tianan returned the clean table to the owner's house. These tables and chairs were all borrowed, so it was best to return them as soon as possible. The bowls and chopsticks had to be cleaned up, but the water in the water tank at home had been used up. Mu Lianfeng took 2 buckets and went to the river to fetch more water. Liang Xinhua looked in the direction where Mu Lianfeng left and followed him eagerly. She didn't have a chance to be alone with the heir apparent. This time she had to make good use of it. Wu Zhenju was so tired that he was panting. He was already full and tired from working. Now he had to clean up so many bowls and chopsticks at once. He had to wipe the table with all his might. It was a physical task. Wu Zhenju walked in front of Liang Jinxiao fawningly. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and massaged his waist. He smiled and said, "I'm finally done." Liang Jinxiao thanked him. "Second sister-in-law, thank you for your hard work." Wu Zhenju hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Aya, it's not hard, it's not hard. There's no need to be so polite between us." Liang Xinxiao smiled. She wasn't used to Wu Zhenju's sudden attitude towards her. She felt that something was wrong. The bowls and chopsticks were placed in the basin. Some of them had already been washed. The rest would be washed when Mu Lianfeng came back with the water. Li Chuiying squatted on the ground and washed the dishes alone. Zhao Yuner sighed. The change in Li Chuiying's personality was slowly being accepted and liked. Chapter 1784. Zhao Yuner's brows slightly furrowed. Seeing Wu Zhenju's attitude, she knew that it wasn't anything good. Sure enough, Wu Zhenju smiled and shamelessly said, "Yuner lass, can I discuss something with you?" Zhao Yuner raised her brows but didn't say anything. Discussing something with her definitely wasn't something good. Zhao Yuner ignored him, making Wu Zhenju feel very awkward. Zhao Yuner ignored him, but he couldn't not say anything, so he continued to shamelessly say, "Yuner, lass, didn't you see His Majesty send you so many things yesterday? I saw that there were dozens of bolts of silk and satin. You definitely won't be able to wear them all by yourself. Why don't you give one to my Yuer, lass, and let Yuer make a set of beautiful clothes? You also know that Yuer is about to have a husband at this age, so she should have a set of good clothes to support her face, right?" Zhao Yuner finally understood that Wu Zhenju was so diligent in helping out because he had his eyes on her family's silk and satin. However, this Wu Zhenju's words really didn't have the slightest bit of standard, so others who heard it were very displeased. What did he mean by her family's dozens of bolts of silk and satin couldn't be worn all by herself, so that was the reason she had to give them to others? Could it be that she had to be grateful that someone was helping her wear them? What kind of logic was this? The silk and satin bestowed by His Majesty weren't cheap. Zhao Yuner estimated that a bolt of silk and satin would cost dozens of taels of silver. It was fine to give this kind of good stuff to people close to her, but she felt that it was a waste to give it to the Liang family. After all, these people didn't have a conscience. They wouldn't be grateful even if she gave it to them, and would greedily ask for more the next time. Zhao Yuner sneered and replied, "Second maternal aunt has a good idea. After all, these silk and satin were bestowed by His Majesty, so how could I dare to casually give it to others? Besides, even if I can't wear all of these silks and satins by myself, I can easily sell them for hundreds of taels of silver." Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched. She knew that Zhao Yuner's words meant that she was reluctant to give heir to her family. She continued to grumble unwillingly, "Hey Yuner, I know these silks and satins are precious, but you have so many of them. You're Yuer's cousin. What's wrong with giving her one bolt?" Zhao Yuner sneered and said, "According to second maternal aunt, I can't be biased. After giving cousin Yuer, I have to give cousin Zier and cousin Lidi. Since his cousins had given him gifts, he couldn't give her anything less, right? Who knows how many horses we'll have to send out." When Wu Zhenju heard Zhao Yuner's words, he was somewhat displeased. If she didn't want to give them, then just don't give them. Why did she have to come up with so many excuses? "Isn't it because other people didn't want them, but I took the initiative to ask for them?" Wu Zhenju muttered in a low voice. "Second maternal aunt, do you think that if I give them today, they won't come and ask me for them after they find out?" Zhao Yuner asked in return. Wu Zhenju's face darkened. "Yuner, do you have to be so stingy as a person? To think that I helped your family clean up the table just now." Zhao Yuner rolled her eyes. She shouldn't have let Wu Zhenju do the work just now. As expected, he was taking credit for this matter. Zhao Yuner's eyes turned, and a scheme emerged in her mind. She wanted to see a dog-eat-dog scene. Chapter 1785. Upon hearing Zhao Yuner's words, Wu Zhenju immediately came over. She blinked her eyes and asked, "Yuner girl, is that true?" Zhao Yuner had a calculating smile on her face. "Of course it's true. However, I can only take out one bolt. Other than second aunt, if you want it, I think eldest aunt and second aunt would definitely want it as well. Why don't you go and discuss it with them? You can decide who gets the bolt of silk. Upon hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, the smile on Wu Xinzhu's face froze. She thought that Zhao Yun'er would be willing to give it to her. She didn't expect that Zhao Yun'er would ask her to discuss it with the other two people. How could Wu Xinzhu not know Guocaixia and Liang Jinfen? How could these two not fight for something good when it came to them? The possibility of them getting this batch of silk was very low. Zhao Yun'er had a faintly discernible smile on her face. Upon seeing Wu Xinzhu's reaction, Zhao Yun'er said indifferently, "Second aunt, you don't want it anymore? Then forget it. I'll go talk to eldest aunt and second aunt and let them discuss among themselves and decide who should take it." Upon hearing this, Wu Xinzhu immediately became anxious. How could she give up like this and let Guocaixia and Liang Jinfen get the benefits? Even if the chances of her getting it were low, she still had a chance to get it. If she didn't fight for it, she would be giving it away for no reason. It was Zhao Yun'er who said that it was something bestowed by the emperor. A bolt of silk was worth a few hundred taels of silver. It would be a pity to give it up so casually. Wu Xinzhu hurriedly said to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er girl, of course I want it. Then take out a bolt. I'll discuss it with your eldest aunt and second aunt." Zhao Yun'er smiled, and there was a hint of playfulness in her eyes. Zhao Yun'er went and took out a batch of silk and satin from the room. She picked out a batch that she didn't like and took it out. Even so, this silk was a rare treasure in the eyes of the villagers. When Guocaixia and Liang Jinfen heard them discussing who should take the silk, they refused to give in and started arguing. Wu Xinzhu said, "I was the one who asked Yun'er for a bolt of silk cloth first. Since Yun'er can only take out one bolt, I think the leather silk cloth should belong to me." Liang Jinfen's face darkened. He stared at the silk cloth in Zhao Yun'er's hands with a hint of greed in his eyes. He started arguing with Wu Xinzhu, "Second sister-in-law, you can't say it like that. No matter who asked Yun'er for it first, since Yun'er took it out for us to discuss, then we all have a chance. Otherwise we wouldn't have just given it to you. What's the point of discussing?" Although Liang Jinfen's words were vulgar, his attitude was very unyielding. He was determined to fight for it. Guocaixia snorted, "That's right, second sister. Your words don't make any sense. If there's no one to give it to, then we have to discuss it together." Wu Xinzhu's mouth twitched. He thought for a while and said, "I think this silk cloth should be given to me. If my Yuer wants to marry into a family, she must dress decently. Only then can she find a rich family. Eldest sister-in-law, your Zier is not handsome. It's a waste for her to wear it. She can't find a rich family like my Yuer." Wu Xinzhu's words made Guocaixia very uncomfortable. Her second sister-in-law was clearly saying that her Zier was not as good as Liang Xinyue. As a mother, how could she tolerate her daughter being slandered and looked down upon? Chapter 1786. The last thing Wu Xinzhu wanted to hear was Guocaishia's words. He replied unhappily, "Yuer's marriage is only known to the people in her own village. How would they know if she went to another village or town to find a husband?" Guocaixia snorted and exposed Wu Xinzhu without giving him any face. "Second sister-in-law, don't tell me you're treating people as fools? If a rich family wants to marry you, shouldn't they ask around first? How can they just casually marry someone?" Liang Jinfen agreed, "That's right, eldest sister-in-law is right. Rich people are all shrewd. Marriage is not something that can be casually decided." Guocaixia continued, "Second sister-in-law, to put it bluntly, it's hard for a woman whose marriage has been annulled to find a good family. If the woman's background is average, she probably won't be able to get married for the rest of her life. Yuer's looks are not bad. She might be able to find a good family and marry an honest man. If you want to find a rich family, I think you should forget about it. How can Yuer get such a good thing?" Liang Jinfen also chuckled and said, "How can there be so many rich families? I think second sister-in-law is just daydreaming. If we're talking about marrying into a good family, my little brother's chances are higher. After all, my little brother's looks are not bad. He's not inferior to Yuer's. If he dresses up well, he might be able to catch the eye of a rich family." Guocaixia also chimed in, "I think my little Zier's not bad either. She looks very good in Yun'er's dress. In this day and age, clothes make the man and Buddha makes the man. If he dresses up well, he won't look bad." When Wu Xinzhu heard this, he was so angry that smoke almost came out of his nostrils. These 2B** cheese actually dared to say that his Yuer wouldn't be able to find a rich family. Since he could find it once, he could find it a second time. She didn't believe that Xuanhuan wouldn't be able to find a good husband with her daughter's good looks. Sister-in-laws are getting on in years. If she could find him, she would have found him long ago. Why would she wait until now? It's not easy for a girl of her age to find a husband. In my opinion, it would be good if she could find an ordinary husband. After Wu Zhenju finished scolding Guxiaxia, he turned to Liang Jinfin and said to Liang Jinfin, "And second sister, if I remember correctly, your family can only give birth to daughters. You see, she only gave birth to 2 daughters in her entire life. She didn't even give birth to a son. I heard that you married the eldest daughter in town and gave birth to a daughter. Now you're not liked by your in-laws. Who knows when your in-laws will divorce you? Your second daughter and first daughter are probably the same as you. They can only give birth to daughters and not sons. This was called heredity. Tell me, which rich man would be willing to marry a woman who can't even give birth to a son? So second sister, you should stop dreaming. Although my little brother's daughter is beautiful, it's useless if she can't give birth to a son." Being unable to give birth to a son in the countryside was indeed a matter of ridicule and disdain in the world. Liang Jinfin had been mocked and ridiculed by many people in her lifetime because she couldn't give birth to a son. Initially she had been counting on Su Xiaodi. Who knew that Su Xiaodi would also give birth to a good-for-nothing? Chapter 1787. Seeing Su Xiaodi's pale and weak face as a mother, she naturally felt distressed. Even if she felt distressed, there was nothing she could do. Who told Su Xiaodi to give birth to a money-losing child? If she could give birth to a son, the Huang family's attitude would naturally not be like this. And even if she felt distressed for Su Xiaodi, she could not bring her daughter back. A married daughter was like spilled water. How could she casually return to her maternal home? Her son was still in the Su family and the family's money was in the hands of her parents-in-law. If she wanted to bring her daughter back, her parents-in-law would have to agree. Obviously, with old Madame Su's father's temperament, they would definitely not agree to let Su Xiaodi come back. The Su family relied on their reputation. If the villagers knew that Su Xiaodi came back to her maternal home because she was not liked by her husband's family, they would probably gossip and ridicule her behind her back. Su Xiaodi also cried and complained to her that her husband's family had said that if she did not give birth to a son in the next child, her husband would divorce her and marry another woman. Since she could not give birth to a son, there would always be a woman who could help the Huang family. Thinking of this, Su Xiaodi somewhat collapsed. She was really worried that if she could not give birth to a son in the next child, she would really be divorced by the imperial family. When that time came, she did not know how many people would laugh at her. After all, when she got married, she was very proud. If she was shamed, she would only be laughed at even more miserably. There was a saying that the higher you stand, the more painful it is to fall. Su Xiaodi felt that she could not bear the consequences of being divorced. Perhaps she would take it too hard and commit suicide. Liang Jinfin was very distressed when he heard this. He was also worried about Su Xiaodi's fate after being divorced. At that time she would be even more ashamed to see people. Now that her daughter married a good husband's family, she had something to show off in front of others. If her daughter was divorced by her husband's family, how could she raise her head? However, having children was not something that they could control at a young age. If she could give birth to a son, she would have done so long ago. If she had a son, she would not be poked at behind her back like she was now. Therefore, when Liang Jinfin heard Wu Zhenju's words, he was very angry. It was one thing to know it in one's heart, but it was another thing to be mocked by others. Liang Jinfin said angrily to Wu Zhenju, "Second sister-in-law, how can you say that?" Wu Zhenju was not a pushover either. How could he be afraid of Liang Jinfin? He sneered and replied, "What did I say? I'm just telling the truth. I'm not wrong." You. Liang Jinfin gritted his teeth in anger. He almost couldn't hold himself back from going up to Wu Zhenju. Guxiaxia also glared at Wu Zhenju with displeasure. How dare he say that her year was old and that it was not appropriate to criticize her in-laws? How could he say that she was old? Don't you think I'm 17 or 18? Aren't there many girls of this age in the countryside who are married? To put it bluntly, he just couldn't bear to see her year doing well. He always felt that if his daughter could marry a good husband's family, others could not. Second sister-in-law, even if my Zier is a little older, she is still better off than you are. Which rich family would be willing to accept second-hand goods these days? Eldest sister-in-law, what do you mean? How is my Yuer a second-hand good? Chapter 1788. Wu Zhenju's face flushed red when he heard Guxiaxia's words. How did this wretched woman find out about this? Did she see it with her own eyes? Judging from Guxiaxia's expression, he knew that she knew about this. However, Wu Zhenju knew that his daughter and the man had indeed been intimate with each other. However, the man had made the first move and Liang Xinyue could not reject him. She was afraid that if she rejected him, the man would get angry and cancel the engagement. Moreover, the two of them were about to get married. Since the engagement was already set, it was normal for them to be intimate with each other. Who would have known that the engagement would be cancelled? Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? Don't you know that this kind of gossip will have a great impact on our yuer? Wu Zhenju reprimanded Guocaixia unhappily. Guocaixia was not convinced. I'm telling the truth. I'm not talking nonsense. If you have the guts to do it, why don't you tell others? With Zhao Yuner as a witness, she successfully witnessed the scene of the three women fighting over a piece of silk. Each of them was very sharp and sarcastic, saying that the other party's daughter did not have the right to wear the silk in Zhao Yuner's hands. In the end, the three women did not give in and started to fight with each other. After the fight was over, everyone was covered in wounds. Their injuries were not light. Seeing this scene, Zhao Yuner could not help but secretly feel happy. This was really interesting. Through this incident, she also witnessed the selfishness and greed of human nature. If any of the three of them were to let go, one of them would naturally be able to get the silk. However, these three people were all selfish and did not give in, afraid that the other party would benefit. Seeing that the three of them were fighting fiercely, Zhao Yuner's eldest uncle, second uncle, and Liang Jinxiao hurriedly tried to stop the fight. After a long while, they finally managed to pull the three women apart. It was undeniable that when women were angry they were really fierce. Even the man who was trying to stop the fight accidentally got injured on his face. The three of them were bruised and swollen. When they finally separated, they were still cursing at each other. Old Madame Liang rubbed her aching forehead. She felt that the three of them were crazy. Shut up. Shut up all of you. Old Madame Liang scolded unhappily. The three women acted as if they hadn't heard anything. They continued to curse and almost started fighting again. Old Madame Liang was so angry that she clutched her chest and couldn't stop muttering, "Rebel, rebel, all of you are rebelling. You can't even listen to this old woman's words. Eldest sister-in-law, second sister, stop quarreling. Mother is uncomfortable because of you." Liang Jinxiao frowned and said hurriedly. Only then did the three of them listen. Their gazes fell on old Madame Liang. Old Madame Liang snorted unhappily and said, "Look at all of you. You're fighting over a piece of silk. If this gets out, people will laugh at us. How can a family fight so fiercely?" Wu Zhenju could not help but complain, "Mother, isn't it because eldest sister-in-law and second sister insisted on fighting with me? If they had just given up the silk to me, how could they have made a fuss?" Liang Jinfen retorted unhappily, "Second sister-in-law, what you said is wrong. Why should eldest sister-in-law and I give up the silk to you? Who do you think you are? Why should we give in to you?" Chapter 1789. Old Madame Liang was afraid that the three of them would quarrel again, so she hurriedly said, all right, stop quarreling. I see that none of you are giving in, so it's better if none of you take it. Is it worth it to hurt your harmony over a bolt of silk?" The moment old Madame Liang said this, the three of them immediately disagreed. "Mother, that won't do. Mother, I still want to use this silk to make clothes for my yuer. Without the silk, where can I find clothes for my yuer to wear? Mother, my zier also needs to wear a good pair of clothes. It's second sister-in-law who said that it's easier to find a good husband if she wears it well." Old Madame Liang snorted lightly. Just now they were still quarreling, but now they were united in trying to persuade her. She was very clear about the thoughts of her two daughters-in-law and daughter. To put it bluntly, they liked to take advantage of others. How could they casually give up when they saw benefits that were so easy to obtain? The problem is that none of you are giving in to the other. It's better to stop quarreling. Otherwise you'll end up fighting again. Mother, don't say any more. Old Madame Liang snorted coldly, then said to Zhao Yuner, "Yuner, listen to grandmother for once. Don't take out this batch of silk for them. Look at how they're fighting. I think that if they continue to fight, they'll stab each other with a knife." Zhao Yuner put on an awkward expression, "Grandmother, this isn't good. I promised to take out a bolt. If I take it back, second aunt will say that I'm stingy." Old Madame Liang said with a cold face, "She dares to say a word to you? Does she really think that this old woman is dead? Does her words not matter now?" Zhao Yuner hesitated for a moment, then finally nodded and said hypocritically, Grandmother is right. I also think that it's better not to take out this piece of silk. I originally wanted eldest aunt, or second aunt to take it. Who knew that such a thing would happen? If I had known that they would fight, I wouldn't have gotten involved in this matter." Old Madame Liang took Zhao Yun'er's hand and said earnestly, "Yun'er girl, this isn't your fault. The things that the emperor bestowed are very precious. It's already very rare that you were willing to take out a batch of silk and satin. It's the three of them who want to fight for it. What can you do if Dada intervenes?" Zhao Yun'er sighed and said, "Yes, Grandma. They were all relatives and it was not worth it to fight over such a small thing. In order not to hurt our relationship, I'll take it back." "Yes." Old Madame Liang nodded in response. Zhao Yun'er hugged the satin and turned around to enter the room. Her eyes flashed with the pleasure of having succeeded in her scheme. She had come up with this scheme because she had expected that these people would be selfish and would not give in to each other. Actually, if these people had a bit of brains, they would have discussed it nicely and decided to sell this batch of silk and satin and divide the money among them. Everyone would get a lot of money on average. However, these people just wanted to swallow everything for themselves. In the end, they realized that all three of them were defeated and injured, and no one would get any benefits. Liang Jinfen, Wu Jinzhu, and Guocaixia were all stunned. They watched as Zhao Yun'er hugged the satin and entered the room. It would probably be impossible to get Zhao Yun'er to take it out again. Chapter 1790. Liang Jinfen and Guocaixia were equally uncomfortable. Who wouldn't want such a valuable item? How could they just give it to someone else? They weren't fools. The three of them complained in their hearts. They didn't like each other at all. Zhao Yun'er put the items back in the house and came out. She was in a good mood when she saw the three of them. She didn't need to rely on her high IQ to deal with these stupid women. Old Madame Liang looked at the three of them and sighed in her heart. None of them were easy to deal with. They were always causing trouble. She felt annoyed just looking at them. After the three of them rested, they complained about the pain on their bodies. "Ouch, my face is all scratched up. What if it leaves a scar?" Wu Jinzhu touched his face and looked resentfully at Liang Jinfen and Guocaixia. Guocaixia quickly replied, "Sister-in-law, don't look at me like that. My fingernails aren't that long. How could they scratch your face like that?" Guocaishia's meaning was self-evident. Wu Jinzhu's face was scratched by Liang Jinfen. Wu Jinzhu's resentful eyes fell on Liang Jinfen. Liang Jinfen pursed his lips unhappily and said, "How can you blame me for this? Didn't I get a lot of scars too?" As Liang Jinfen spoke, he raised his arm and showed it to Wu Jinzhu. The injury on his arm was quite serious. If it wasn't treated properly, it might become inflamed. The three of them looked like they were about to start arguing again. Old Madame Liang glared at them. "Haven't you said enough? No matter how serious your injuries are, you deserve it. Who else can you blame for attacking him?" The three of them closed their mouths resentfully. They still felt uncomfortable. Wu Jinzhu covered his face with his hand. His expression was desolate. He bit his lower lip and looked indignant. Liang Jinhui comforted her. All right. It won't leave a scar. Even if it does, it's fine. You're already so old and you're already married to me. You're not a young lady anymore, and you're afraid that you won't be able to get married. Isn't it fine as long as I don't despise you?" When Wu Jinzhu heard Liang Jinhui's words, he was a little unhappy. "What do you mean by it's fine even if I have a scar at my age? Don't tell me that I won't be able to meet people in the future? Are you the only one who can see it? If I go out, people will definitely laugh at me. I don't want it." Liang Jinhui couldn't understand why a woman valued beauty so much. Even though she was old, she would still care about her appearance. She wouldn't just make do with it casually. Okay. Don't be angry. You're right. Let's go back to town and get some ointment. It shouldn't leave a scar. I heard that there's a doctor in town who makes good ointment. Although it's a little expensive, the effect is good. Although Wu Jinzhu was reluctant to spend money, he thought about his face. He felt that he had to buy it back no matter what. As long as it didn't leave a scar, everything else was negotiable. After this side returned to silence, Liang Xianxia followed Mu Lianfeng to the riverside. Liang Xianxia looked at Mu Lianfeng's tall back. Her heart was filled with admiration. This high-quality man looked different from the rest. He was extraordinary. Even his back was better looking than the rough men in the mountains. If she could be with such a man, how happy would it be? Mu Lianfeng didn't notice that a woman was following behind him. When they reached the riverside, she heard someone call out to her softly. She did not believe. What was so good about Zhao Yun'er? She was not as good as her. Perhaps she was not proactive enough, so Mu Lianfeng was indifferent. Liang Xianxua's eyes darted around, and she quickly grabbed the bucket in Mu Lianfeng's hand. Seeing that Liang Xianxua was about to snatch the bucket, Mu Lianfeng quickly pushed Liang Xinyue away. He did not know what Liang Xinyue's intentions were. With Mu Lianfeng's push, Liang Xinyue sat on the ground and cried out, "Io Io?" Mu Lianfeng glanced at Liang Xinyue indifferently. He did not know what Liang Xinyue was up to. Chapter 1792. You sprained your ankle? Mu Lianfeng was suspicious and did not immediately believe Liang Xinyue's words. He had a feeling that this woman was up to something. Liang Xinyue looked at Mu Lianfeng pitifully and continued to say to Mu Lianfeng, "Sir, I really sprained my ankle. It hurts so much. Can you come over and help me?" Mu Lianfeng replied indifferently, "You asked for it. Who else can you blame?" His attitude was very clear. He did not want to talk to her. This could not go on. Mu Lianfeng did not seem like a man who could be seduced so easily. However, Liang Xinyue was not willing to give up just like that. She continued to act coquettishly. "Sir, I don't have any other choice. I'm already injured. What else can I do? Are you just going to let me sit here and do nothing? Aren't you going to help me?" Mu Lianfeng snorted softly. "After I'm done carrying the water, I'll go back and tell your family to come and pick you up." Liang Xinyue opened her mouth. Mu Lianfeng's rejection was too direct. He did not even give her a chance. After Mu Lianfeng finished speaking, his gaze shifted away from Liang Xinyue. He held the bucket in his hand and carried the water. Liang Xinyue saw that Mu Lianfeng was really going to leave her here alone. Actually, her ankle was fine. She had deliberately said that she was injured because she wanted to gain Mu Lianfeng's sympathy and get closer to Mu Lianfeng. Who knew that Mu Lianfeng would be like this? Her plan was completely ruined. Now Mu Lianfeng was really going to leave and not care about her. He was really going to abandon her just like that. Liang Xinyue was suddenly anxious. She felt that she had to be more thick-skinned this time, so she rushed directly to Mu Lianfeng and hugged Mu Lianfeng from behind. After that, she mustered up her courage and confessed to Mu Lianfeng, "Your Highness, I quite like you. I wonder if Your Highness can give me a chance to get to know you better?" Mu Lianfeng was slightly stunned. He never thought that Liang Xinyue would be so bold as to come over and hug him. This woman relied on his tolerance and became more and more unscrupulous towards him. The sense of disgust in his heart grew stronger. Even though Liang Xinyue was Zhao Yun'er's cousin, she didn't hold back this time and kicked her out. Then a splash was heard. It was the sound of someone falling into the water. The person who had fallen into the water was Liang Xinyue, who had been blown out by Mu Lianfeng. Liang Xinyue didn't know how to swim. After falling into the water, she struggled in the water and even shouted, "Help! Help!" Mu Lianfeng subconsciously felt that Liang Xinyue must be faking it this time, so he ignored Liang Xinyue. However, Liang Xinyue continued to struggle in the water. Her entire face was ashen and she looked like she was in extreme pain. If Liang Xinyue was faking it just now, he would believe it. Cola's ashen face from choking on water didn't look like it was faked. If this went on, someone might die. Although he hated Liang Xinyue and this woman had the guts to covet him, he didn't want her to die. Mu Lianfeng pondered for a moment, then picked up a bamboo pole from the riverbank and handed it to Liang Xinyue. Then he started to sing. Liang Xinyue said indifferently, "Catch." Liang Xinyue hurriedly grabbed the bamboo pole. Mu Lianfeng then dragged Liang Xinyue to the riverbank. Only then did Liang Xinyue get up. Chapter 1793. She felt that if she had come ashore any later, she would have choked to death in the river. It felt so good to breathe in the fresh air now. Thinking about it, Mu Lianfeng was really ruthless. He didn't show any mercy and directly kicked her into the river. He didn't have any tender feelings for the fairer sex. Cough, cough, cough. Liang Xinyue coughed heavily a few times and looked pitifully at Mu Lianfeng. She originally thought that Mu Lianfeng would look at her one more time out of guilt. However, Liang Xinyue realized that she was thinking too much. Mu Lianfeng only glanced at her indifferently and then turned to leave with the water. "Shizi." Liang Xinyue called out pitifully. Mu Lianfeng didn't respond at all and only showed his back. Was he going to leave her here alone and not care about her? How was she going to go back when she was all wet? "Shizi." Liang Xinyue's voice was louder this time. Mu Lianfeng showed his determination with his back facing her. Seeing that Mu Lianfeng really didn't want to talk to her anymore, Liang Xinyue finally gave up. After soaking her clothes in the water, Liang Xinyue's entire body was wet. Her clothes stuck to her body and a few private parts were faintly discernible. If someone saw this, they would definitely say something. At this time, Lu San happened to see Liang Xinyue sitting on the shore after falling into the water. After seeing Liang Xinyue's appearance and her faintly discernible figure, Lu San swallowed his saliva and then ran over to Liang Xinyue eagerly. Miss, did you accidentally fall into the water? Lu San asked politely. Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip and responded with an aggrieved expression. So pitiful. A girl like you has suffered so much. After hearing Lu San's words, Liang Xinyue felt even more wronged. Wasn't that right? How could she have known that Mu Lianfeng would be so cruel to her? She was a young lady and was weak to begin with. How could she withstand such torture? Seeing that Liang Xinyue was so wronged that she was about to cry, Lu San hurriedly comforted her. Okay, miss, don't cry. No matter what, it's all in the past now. It's okay. As long as you're fine, it doesn't matter, right? Liang Xinyue nodded in agreement. Lu San smiled and continued, Miss, do you want me to help you? Liang Xinyue thought for a moment and looked at Lu Sanchong. She was smiling so warmly, so she shouldn't be a bad person. After she had choked on the water, she felt that she couldn't muster up any strength after tossing and turning. If she had someone send her off, she would be able to go back earlier. Otherwise, she couldn't just sit here and do nothing, right? Although the weather was hot now, it was easy to catch a cold if she didn't go back and change her clothes. If she fell sick, it would be even more torturous. So she nodded. Thank you so much. Lu San hurriedly waved his hand. Oh, miss, you're too polite. I like to help others when they're in trouble. Liang Xinyue nodded and smiled at Lu San. Big brother, you're really a good person. Lu San's smile hid a hint of calculation. He was indeed a good person, but he would only be good to women, and the youngest and most beautiful women. Of course, he wouldn't tell Liang Xinyue the calculation in his heart. Chapter 1794. Lu San smiled mischievously while Liang Xinyue responded gratefully. Well, that's why Big Brother is such a good person. Well, miss, let's not talk so much. I'll send you back quickly. Lu San urged. In fact, he couldn't wait to have fun. Liang Xinyue in front of him looked very beautiful and very young. The taste of playing with her would definitely be extraordinary. Okay. Liang Xinyue responded. Lu San supported Liang Xinyue. Although she was not used to being with other men, she had no choice but to let Lu San support her. The feeling of having a beauty in his arms was extraordinary. Lu San glanced at Liang Xinyue's delicate little face and couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Miss, you're not from our Xuelan village, are you? Lu San chatted enthusiastically. Liang Xinyue shook her head. No, I'm here to see my relatives. Lu San was delighted when he heard that. It was easier to make a move if they were not from the same village. Who are your relatives? Lu San asked casually. My cousin's name is Xiaoyun, and my uncle's name is xuanhuan. Liang Xinyue replied. Hearing Xiaoyun, Lu San frowned. He was not afraid of other people in the village, but Lu San was a little afraid of Xiaoyun. After all, he had been defeated by Xiaoyun before, so he knew that Xiaoyun was not to be trifled with. Looking at Liang Xinyue in front of him again, Lu San was thinking about whether to make a move on Liang Xinyue. He was afraid that if he made a move on Liang Xinyue, Xiaoyun would make trouble for him again. At that time there would be a lot of trouble. While he was thinking, he heard Liang Xinyue complaining, Hey, my cousin is powerful now, but her character is really not good. She thinks that because her family is rich, she doesn't like us poor relatives. She doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How can such a person be so lucky? She even caught the eye of the xianxia. Lu San listened quietly to Liang Xinyue's complaints. From Liang Xinyue's tone, he knew that Xiaoyun did not like her. Since this was the case, it was a good thing for him. If he said that he made a move on Liang Xinyue, Xiaoyun would definitely not care about this matter. He had nothing to be afraid of. At the same time, from Liang Xinyue's tone, Lu San could tell that Liang Xinyue was dissatisfied with Xiaoyun, as well as her admiration for Mu Lianfeng. He knew more about women and knew what kind of words they liked to hear. He smiled and comforted her. Miss, in fact, you look much more beautiful than Xiaoyun. The xianxia has a problem with his taste. If I were the xianxia, I would definitely like you and not Xiaoyun. Sure enough, after Lu San finished speaking, Liang Xinyue's heart immediately became happy. She smiled and said to Lu San, Your words are so nice. It's as if your mouth is smeared with honey. Lu San smiled embarrassedly, I'm just telling the truth. I don't mean to coax you. Liang Xinyue blinked her eyes. Really? Of course it's true. Liang Xinyue said with a smile, You have a good taste. Hey, if only the xianxia could have your taste. He would definitely not like Xiaoyun, but me. If the Shitsi could like her, she would become the Shitsi's wife in the future. Her status would be very noble and she would be able to eat and drink well. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.